I'm going to go write today. Yes, I am so into my writing right now. I just know I've written a lot of pages. All right, a few hours passed by. Let me see how many pages I wrote. Hey, I'm Mariah, and I'm a filmmaker, and an ADHDer, and a writer, and a woman who deals with anxiety, and a photographer, and, okay, you get the picture. Hey, I'm Mariah. Did I say that already? And I'm a storyteller who cares a whole lot about mental health. A lot of times, we often separate storytelling and mental health from each other. Honestly, we tend to separate mental health from everything. But I find these two to go hand in hand. When you're telling a story, that point is to connect with your audience. On a deeper level, check this out. Connect with their mind. Storytelling is everything. Movies, music, video games, art, all of it. And mental health has a lot to offer too. Depression, autism, PTSD, and so on. I'm on a mission to understand and learn more about both storytelling and mental health. Whether it's digging deep into mental health disorders, checking out the psychology of characters from all over, dissecting the power of music on our emotions, hearing the personal stories of creatives, my goal is for us to be more seen, heard, understood, and learn who we are. Welcome to my podcast, Everything Storytelling plus Mental Health. This is your host, Mariah Nasir, and let's dive right into it. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Everything Storytelling plus Mental Health. Today's episode is going all in on writing techniques for those of us who struggle with getting writing done. So yes, let's go right into it. Before I dive into today's episode, I just wanted to bring in my mental health check-in of the day. So it's been a little bit since I've uploaded my last episode, and I have just been honestly trying to figure out a process for me to figure out when I should record. I should record the podcast episode, when I need to edit, and then on top of that, my other side projects, my writing, and then, just my personal life and my job. So I'm trying to figure out a way to balance everything. Something that is very neurodivergent friendly. So it's going to be a process for me to figure out for a while. And with that being said, it's might be a little bit until I figure out a consecutive amount of times I will publish an episode, or have a consistent schedule per se of when I will know when my next episode is gonna launch and things like that. But hey, I am still here today, you guys, and I'm just happy because I'm still showing up. So just trying to figure out that process. But still, I didn't really answer my mental health check-in of the day. Going back to that, today is a Saturday. The day I'm recording this episode is a Saturday. So, life is good right now. I am just relaxation mode. I honestly just took a nap not too long ago, and I needed that nap. It wasn't a very long nap, but it was something I needed to get done. So that was really nice. I don't really take naps that much, so it was really nice to just lie down on my couch, pull up the blanket, and take a nap, even if it was less than probably 30 minutes. It was very rejuvenating. But in general, the past few weeks been up and down, just some anxiety things that I'm trying to manage and just learn how to get through. But other than that, honestly, other than that, things have been going well. I am starting a new writing project, which is probably one of the inspirations for this podcast episode, because I needed some writing techniques so I can get all into the writing for my projects. So yes, that is where I'm at. Also, I also just totally recreated my whole business. I am a content creator that does social media. and I pretty much just do photos and reels and graphics and captions for others. But I've just kind of re-outlined my whole business, so I'm excited to work on some stuff with that as well. Um, but yeah, I guess that answers my mental health check-in of the week. I've been, you know, things have been up and down, but primarily good. I have a lot of good things. It's just anxiety things that I'm just trying to handle and learn how to cope with. So that's just where I'm at. But yes, let's go on into today's episode of writing techniques for those of us who struggle to get it done, and especially for those who have, to deal with mental health and are writers, and it can be hard to, kind of balance both things. So let's go right into it. So I wanted to talk about this topic because I have always been a storyteller. I love storytelling. Ever since I was a little girl, I always enjoyed storytelling. It was just something that I was truly passionate about. And around that time frame when I was a little girl, I would always share my stories with my grandmother, and she loved them, y'all. She was like the audience, and I was like the movie theater, and I would basically reenact my movies in front of her. Even though it probably looked really weird in her eyes, she still enjoyed them like she was actually in a movie theater, and it was really fun. And I would reenact these entire movies that I formulated in my head. Y'all, I'm not joking. I made entire movies in my head from the very beginning to the end. And I also would even remember real life movies and shows that sometimes I would reenact for myself just for fun. I would remember the entire movie. I believe one of the movies was Lion King. I think I literally remember the entire movie from the beginning to end in my head as a kid. Now, me as an adult, I can't do any of that. I can't remember all the details like that from the beginning to the end anymore. And I'm just like, wow, that was probably such a useful ability back then, but here I am now trying to tie in or just trying to glue in all the pieces of my stories. So it's just fascinating how I was able to do that. But yeah, as a girl, I always enjoy storytelling. I always created stories. I just never written them out on page. As a little girl, I just enjoyed creating stories. But they're always in my head. I never actually sat down and wrote them out because it was hard, and it is still hard today, y'all. It is still hard today. It is hard to sit down on your chair and write. It's so easy to have these ideas and everything in your head, but when you put it out on paper, when you type it on your computer, it's like, what? It's a whole different ballgame. When you execute the actual idea, it's like, wow, this is way harder than what it is. So it was hard for me as a girl to put my stories on paper. It's just hard. And I found out that this writing struggle that I had, kind of still have, to be honest. Nah, I still have it. That's why I'm doing this episode today. But I realized that these writing struggles that I deal with, it shows that I am not the only one that deals with this. Apparently, in fact, a lot of people who are neurodivergent have a lot of the same issues like I do. And even those who also deal with anxiety and depression, things like that, it can be very hard as well. Just writing in general, bad experiences with writing also has a lot to do with it. I have many bad experiences with writing from the English class. Yeah, pretty much English class. I was about to say from English class, but pretty much English class was probably my worst experience in dealing with writing. I would not get the A plus grades like everybody. And it was frustrating because I couldn't exactly formulate or express what I thought in my head on paper. I didn't know how. I couldn't figure it out. There was something missing. There was a gap on a bridge that I couldn't figure out how to cross. I couldn't figure out how to express my idea on paper. So it was a struggle when majority of my classmates, by the way, I was like in honors, most of the time I was in honors or AP class in English, and it was frustrating to see my fellow classmates with A plus grades, and then here I am with like a B plus, and it's not, that is not a bad grade at all, y'all. It's just me, who was a perfectionist back then, always wanted to get A's, and I got A's a lot, and that was usually one of the biggest areas in my life that I struggled with was English, because I didn't get A pluses. I primarily got B's, B pluses, or sometimes C's on papers, and it was very frustrating. And I would take hours, y'all. I would take hours writing my stuff, my ideas, and I still wasn't really getting anywhere. I might have written like a page. Maybe I'm over exaggerating. Sometimes I've written longer than that. But honestly, a lot of times I'm writing and I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm just being honest. When I was writing in my English classes, a lot of times I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. And these experiences just weren't that, it's just like really didn't put, it really dimmed my love for storytelling. Now, let's just put in that this has nothing to do exactly with storytelling, because I'm kind of writing an analysis or essay for stories that we read or we talked about in class, other than writing like an actual story, a whole plot, creating characters, creating a world. So it is different, yes, but the same concept is writing from your head. So it's the same concept still applies. Getting the ideas from your head to actually putting on paper that makes sense is the problem. And I have struggled with that since a kid, and I still struggle with that now. And when you are a neurodivergent and things can easily be distracting to you, your thoughts just come in and say, hey, do this, or what if this happened, or what if this happens, or what if this happens? Did we check the weather today? Did I turn the stove off? I need to call up the bank and do so and so. All that stuff. You're gonna forget. Wait a minute. What am I writing about? This is too much. I've only written 3 words. Yeah, I'm done. So that's where I'm at with my writing. So I like to add in some examples about anxiety as well with my writing. So a lot of times when I am writing something, I tend to not think about what I feel 100%. I tend to think about what the reader will feel when they read my paper. So when I'm writing, I tend to think about a lot. Oh my gosh, are they gonna like this? Will this make sense to them? It makes sense to me, but will it make sense to them? Am I missing something? Am I forgetting something? Am I not clear? It's like very overwhelming, because when you have experiences like that in the past with your writing, it's not really fun when you're actually writing. So you kind of forget and tune out of what your own intuition is, and you kind of think about what everyone else will think. When in reality, people are probably not even thinking that. The point is, writing while also dealing with mental health can be such a challenge. And a lot of things that many of us writers face, especially for us neurodivergent writers, are things like distractions, the phone, and environment. Difficulty organizing thoughts. Procrastination, delaying in favor of more immediate rewards. Impulsivity, starting new projects without finishing old ones. These writing tips that I researched can help anyone to write. So you don't have to be writing a book or a movie to listen to this. If you are literally writing a blog or writing an email for your newsletter, anything like that, this is still helpful because you're writing, and the same concept applies no matter what you are writing. So let's go all into it. Number 1, dig into why you are writing this. Why do you feel attached to this? What is your message you want to give to your audience? What emotions and feelings pop up when you think about writing this? So, for example, for me, I am starting to get into this writing project. There's actually a few writing projects that I am starting to get back into. Had these writing projects a while back in college, and I'm going right back into them. But one of my big deep whys is for I will say honestly, an emotional healing journey. I realized a lot of stuff in my life and in my past, and I really feel the best way to heal during this emotional transition is to write. Cause I have so many ideas, y'all. I have so many ideas, and I feel like writing it out in a way that is aligned with me is the best approach to go about this. So to ask yourself, why are you writing this? What do you feel attached? Why do you feel attached to this? What are you trying to say? Is it somebody particularly that you are trying to say this to? Think about that person. Is there a message or theme that you have an opinion about that you want to share forth? Is there something that has bothered you recently and you want to talk about it, share about it? This can be even on a newsletter. I follow people a lot that talk about things that literally happened this past week to them, and they write it out on their newsletters. And you can tell why they are writing this is because this is something that they feel a connection attached. This is something that they feel attached to and want to share forth to their audience, because chances are their audience probably have similar experiences or reactions. So again, dig into why you are writing this. It's a good one to think about because it's a great motivating factor of when you don't feel like writing, or you feel confused, or you feel like this is just okay, this is stupid and I'm gonna leave it. Dig into why you're writing this. All right, number 2, think about the writing process. Okay, so apparently this is a very neurodivergent thing, actually, that we don't really think about the whole writing process. And I thought everybody thought this way, honestly. I thought we just go right into the writing, you know? But apparently it's a very big thing for us neurodivergents, to kind of skip the process of things because of our executive dysfunctions. So we really need to think about the writing process, because a lot of times we don't really put into account all the necessary things that have to go into writing. So, for example, if you are writing a book, just think about how long is this piece of writing? If it's a newsletter, how long do you think this piece of writing is going to be? If it's a script, the same question applies. How long do you think this is going to be? Is it a feature film? Is it a pilot? Because the length varies depending on which one it is. Who is your ideal audience? This is also part of the writing process. Now, I was bringing up earlier, like, I think about who's reading this. And so, in a way, think about it in a healthy way. The ideal audience that is pretty much like you. The ideal audience that has pretty much lived similar experiences like you. Or if you are trying to convey a message that somebody probably can relate to in the story, that is also something that is very much your ideal audience. When I say who is your ideal audience, it is somebody that feels very aligned to your story, or somebody that can relate to the story, somebody that can feel the emotions, the empathy to the story, to the newsletter, to the blog, to the script, to the book, to anything. Number 3, make a schedule that's flexible. Plan a time of the day to do it and allow yourself to move it. It is not a doctor's appointment, y'all. So right now I am working on I don't even like to say a schedule. I would say flexible schedule. To me, it's like a guide a little bit of how my day should go about. But it's not something that I have to follow through and say I will get penalized for it if I don't follow through it. Because in my mind, if I think of it as a way that this is everything I need to do at this time of the day that needs to get done, I feel overwhelmed and feel like a failure, honestly, if I don't get it done or I don't get it done fast enough. So I like to make it flexible. I like to think of it as a flexible schedule. I like to think of it honestly as a guide just to show me what my day would look like in a way that follows this pattern. Um, so yeah, again, it is not a doctor's appointment. If you plan to write, let's say 3 o'clock tomorrow, and then it is 3 o'clock, and you are caught up with somewhere in traffic, or you went to the store, or you don't really feel good. Okay, no biggie. You can move it to later. You can move it to the evening. You can move it to the next day. You can move it sometime next week. Okay, but it is a flexible schedule. Okay, you be kind to yourself. You don't. If just because it says 3 o'clock doesn't mean it is something that is life or death. Okay, it's okay. It's a guide. Number 4. Estimate how long it might take you and multiply that by 2 or 4. So I am very bad at estimating anything I do, from doing client work, from doing admin stuff, from writing. Writing is probably the biggest thing because, again, I think I would take like an hour to write a page or two, and it's like 3 hours pass by, and I'm like still on page 1. I don't know if I'm still exaggerating on that, but a lot. I honestly feel like that has happened plenty of times. I am pretty positive that has happened plenty of times, and I only written a page. So you really need to just take into account how many hours it's going to take you because, yeah, this I'm just going to be honest. You will probably get distracted sometimes. I mean, hey, neurodivergent or not, you're going to get distracted. Yeah, you're going to get more distracted if you're neurodivergent. Just going to be honest, but you're going to get distracted either way. It's just like it's 2024, y'all. You know, we got a lot going on, things outside that, draw our attention, even things in our own homes that draw our attention, our thoughts in our head draw our attention. Uh, you just have to take into account how long is it going to be. And even when you're not distracted and you are writing still, it still might take you a while to actually formulate your idea on paper, and it just takes you a little bit to think about it. So just take that into account as well. Multiply it by 2 or 4. So a lot of times I think I'm going to write something for an hour or two. And now I am starting to realize that is a lie. And I now realize that how long it's going to take me to write this is probably going to be an extra 2 or 4 hours, honestly. So I honestly am like working around days that I probably am just going to sit down an entire day and write because honestly, that is just something that works for me. I have to have pretty much a lot of hours to write because, you know, I have to think about it. And again, there's going to be distractions and things going to pop up. So you just really got to take into account that what you think is going to take, how long you think it's going to take you is not really, generally speaking, that's how actually, in reality, that's how long it's going to take you. Now, if it does take you an hour to write something, power to you, because I do know people like that. And a lot of times, once you get used to writing too, after a while, it gets faster for you and easier for you. So if you can do that, power to you. But a lot of us, like me, I can't do that. So give yourself the time that you need to write out your stuff. All right, number 5, give yourself some breaks. Writing for 50 minutes. Y'all, I love this method called the Pomodoro method. So basically what it is that you do your work for however how many set of minutes you do it for, and then you stop and take a little break. It can be for like 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. It helps you get your work done, but also not feel burnt out, and gives you the time for you to breathe, let your brain relax, and just, give yourself the time that you need to rejuvenate. Because sitting down in front of a computer for 6 hours straight is not gonna do it. So don't please, y'all, don't sit down on your computer and write for 6 hours straight without getting up, getting water, or doing anything. And when I say take a break, get up from your computer. Don't just sit there, y'all. Please don't sit there. Get up. You've been sitting there for about 50, 40, 30 minutes. Get up and go for a walk, or maybe just, I don't know, sit down and read for something. I know I say get up, but it's like get up from your computer at least and go somewhere else for a moment. Or get a little snack. Make sure you are getting some food and you are staying hydrated as well, because a lot of times we get so engrossed in our work that we don't even realize we're hungry or thirsty. So just take into account that. Or do something you enjoy, like play a video game. I couldn't do that personally because I'll get too caught up in it, and I won't. It'll be hard for me to break out of it when it's time to go back, especially since the break is not that long. I mean, 10 minutes, and a game, like, it would take, it's just like not the best for me. But if it's something that you can enjoy and you know that you can kind of easily draw yourself out of it and go right back into writing, do that. Number 6, make a writer-friendly environment. Choose the right background, music, and noise. So, for example, me recording this podcast, I have a cute little desk setup that is in the work. I have a little diffuser. I have my curtains closed. I have my door closed. I have a cat, y'all, that will be meowing up a storm and messing with stuff that I don't want her to get all up into. So I keep my door closed for her not to distract me. I also like to put on background music. Okay, so not for the podcast per se, because I'm recording my podcast, but when I'm working on stuff like writing, I like to put on a nice little background music, like lo-fi or classical or cinematic, one of those three, to like get my creative juices flowing. And if you really want to like get actually into like the flow, get some noise canceling headphones. I don't have noise canceling headphones. I probably will invest in them in the future, but noise canceling headphones are amazing because they can block out a lot of things that you don't want to be hearing, especially outside. I have kind of a noisy complex. It's not that noisy, but sometimes there's an AC unit right outside my window, you guys, and it constantly goes on and off while I'm recording this podcast episode, and it bothers me. And I'm just thinking about sitting here and writing alone would also bother me. So having some noise canceling headphones is something that would be really nice, especially when you don't want to be distracted or you don't want to hear certain things, because yeah, that'd be aggy. Number 7, make small goals. Outline or make a list of the things that you want to write. Now, for example, split up. Okay, so let me like clarify that a little bit more. Split up your writing, okay? Like, split up your writing. Make a short little word count. It can be like a small goal. You can do like, let's say 200, 300 words. I'm just being very easy. Honestly, I don't even understand word count that well, so I don't even know how long that is. Doesn't sound hard, 200, 300 words, but also sounds hard. So, I'm not even sure how long that is because I'm bad at estimating or counting word count. But just set yourself a small goal. It's probably not the best example, actually. But set yourself a small goal. Maybe like write yourself a half a page. How about that? or write yourself a full page. Write yourself two, if you want to write 2 pages, whatever. Set yourself small goals, okay? Give yourself something to write. Set small goals, y'all. Write maybe like 1 page per day, or write maybe even a half a page. Write a paragraph. If you have specific sections that you are trying to write throughout your writing piece, split it up. Like, for example, for me, since I'm writing a script, I am splitting up my outline. I have no idea how to outline, and I am just figuring out how it goes. But there's no right or wrong way to really outline and to do any outlining for any writing piece. It's just kind of figuring out what works best for you. So, example for me, for my writing piece, because I am writing a script, is maybe focusing on theme one day and then focusing on like the whole premise another day. Or maybe I'm going to work on all about my character and what they are, their beliefs, what is their whole archetype like, on another day. Things like that. You just split it up. You don't have to do the whole thing in one day. Just set yourself small goals. Again, this is something that I am currently trying to learn and work with myself, but I find this like a very good way to, keep yourself writing, because when you break up stuff and set small goals for yourself, it's easy for you to keep going. So that is what I recommend on that. Number 8, celebrate often. So let's say you finally reach that goal of writing 1 page. You finally reach that goal of writing 1,000 words. You finally reach that goal to write that theme for the story. Celebrate. Reward yourself after you just wrote. Even if you didn't even make the goal, reward yourself anyways. You wrote, and that's a big deal, because writing is not easy. So you need to get up and celebrate and do something fun. Right? You need to reward yourself. In a way, it helps your brain remember, like, hey, this is like good, because when you reward yourself right after doing something that you don't really feel as much dopamine with, your brain starts to remember that. So when you start writing, it gets easier for you. That's what I'm trying to say. So reward yourself, and it makes you feel good, because you wrote that and you deserve to celebrate yourself. And you can set yourself milestones. So let's say you give yourself like small goals, but then like set some milestones. So maybe you want to write like 10 pages as a milestone, which is like months from now or something. Okay, cool. When you reach that milestone, give yourself like some big reward. Like take yourself out to eat, or get yourself a nice little, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Just do something. And even if you like, trying to save money, think of ways that are cheap that you enjoy doing. I really like the strategy celebrate often, because that is something we don't do. We just write and go on for a day. A lot of times we just like kind of read over what we just wrote, and then we're just like, that is disgusting. But in reality, it doesn't matter if it's crappy, because chances are when it's a first draft anyways, whatever you just first wrote, it's going to be crappy. Just being honest, it's going to be most likely crappy, because it's your first draft. It's not perfect. We are human. It's okay. You wrote it, so celebrate that. You can always go back and edit it later, but you wrote it, so celebrate. Number 9, think of new tactics when you feel stuck. So brainstorm some ideas. Okay, so if you're stuck on writing something like a blog, go back and maybe do some more research on it. Or find something that somebody that has more expertise on it. You can ask somebody like for advice in this stage, like on Facebook groups, because there are a lot of people on Facebook groups that have so much knowledge on a lot of things, and chances are, for like on a stage that you're stuck in, somebody probably can help you out with that. Number 10, keep a notebook nearby to write down random thoughts or ideas. So this is especially for us people with ADHD. a lot of times when you're writing, you're going to have all these thoughts in your head. Because I mentioned that earlier. You're going to have a lot of random thoughts, and it has nothing to even do with your writing. So keep a little notebook right next to you and a little pen. And when something pops up like, la 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 la, oh, I need to call so and so. Just write it down. Write it down. So that way you remember, but also you don't have to stop what you're doing and go and do it. Unless it's really emergency, like just write it down on your notepad. Your notepad. It's all good. All right, and number 11, show yourself self-compassion. Now this goes in a lot with a lot of other techniques that I talked about, but I just want to emphasize this again because this is something that we generally don't do. So I want to talk about it again. Expect that you will still get distracted. I said that earlier and I'm saying it again. Expect that you will get distracted. You're just going to get distracted. And it just is what it is. And that's okay. Don't let it make you feel like you are a failure or you are not a good writer because you get distracted. Everybody gets distracted. And some might get distracted more than others. And it's okay. It's okay to say to yourself, it's okay that I got distracted doing this. Expect that you won't follow your schedule all the time. Again, I was talking about how I was planning out a flexible schedule. You're not gonna always sit down and be ready at 4 p.m. and write. It's just like, this is life, things happen. You're not always gonna be able to write at 4 p.m. So just remind yourself that this is not something that has to be done at this time of day every day for you to be a successful, amazing writer. There's no book that says you gotta write every single day like that to be an amazing, beautiful writer. It's okay. Remind yourself you are not perfect. We are all human. Humans, we're not perfect. We are just not perfect. So don't expect for your projects to be perfect because we're not perfect. And your first draft, it will not be perfect. It'll probably be the crappiest version ever. It just is. Because I am just going to tell myself that. It just is. Because it's your first draft. You are formulating your ideas from your head to the paper, to the screen. It's not easy doing that. Just tell yourself that. And that when you don't meet expectation that you wanted to do, just tell yourself that it's okay. That does not mean you are a failure or a bad writer. And most importantly, take the time to reclaim your own needs. Put yourself first. If you are having a headache, if you do not feel good, don't write. Sit down and take care of yourself, okay? If you're having a bad day, if you're angry, now, writing is a good remedy for you to unleash that anger, go on by all means and write. But if it's just too much going on and you are just not in the mood to write, don't do it. Just take the time to replenish your needs. Feed yourself, give yourself water, give yourself that break, just be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. I'm talking about physically, mentally, spiritually, all that, okay? Just take care of yourself. To all my writers, your mindset matters. I used to think I was a bad writer, and I'm honestly still find this a challenging thought sometimes. I still do, honestly. I really do. It's just a process that I am trying to learn. But I realized that, it's such a lie that some of the thoughts that come in my head, I'm not a bad writer. I think about some of the things I've written and that I received rewards from. I've written an entire film, and it was my second script, and I remember receiving honorable mentions or semi-finalist for my film that I wrote. I also wrote a monologue when I was 14 and wrote an entire monologue on my own. Nobody, just me. I wrote an entire monologue. Not only that, I directed it and I acted in it. It's just me acting it, directing it, and wrote it. And I won. So I just like to remind myself that there are a lot of, and there's more examples, but there are a lot of things in my life that show me that I am not a bad writer. Okay? I'm just not perfect, but that doesn't mean I am a bad writer. And the same goes for you. I am sure, there's probably a lot of crappy past experiences that you have with writing, but I am sure there's a lot of good experiences that you also have with writing, and it can be minor, okay? The thoughts in our head, they're not always true. So, this is me just cheering you on because you got this. Writing is not easy because if writing was easy, everyone would be doing it, y'all. Everyone would be doing it. And this is me saying, you got this, and I am cheering you on. If you enjoyed this episode, then check out all the resources in my episode description below. I think you will find it really helpful and useful when you are trying to write or just do any project. Hey, if you listened to this entire episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to my podcast. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. And if you like what you heard, or you have your feedback or thoughts, please just leave them in the comments and ratings. I would appreciate it. Your feedback means everything to me. And if you want to keep up with more of what's going on with this podcast and know more about the life of Mariah, then follow me on the gram. That is at everything story mental health. But it's also in the description because I know that's a pretty long title. So again, thank you so much and have a wonderful week.